Good morning, Minnesota DFLers, and welcome to the DFL Daily. Richard Carlbaum here, chair of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. So great to be with you each and every morning, Monday through Friday at 10:45, to make sure that you have the message and the action, the tools to be empowered. As we've been talking about this week, it's a big week and weekend here at the DFL. We have lots going on around the state. First off, there's Pride Weekend in the Twin Cities. The DFL will be there in force. We're selling merch at our booth in the park in Loring Park. And then, of course, we have parade entry as well. We'll be with a lot of other elected officials excited about Twin Cities Pride. Saturday morning, I'm gonna be personally starting the day at the Hmong International Freedom Festival. It's this weekend, the 27th and 28th. We'll drop a link in the chat. You should check this thing out. This thing is a spectacle. It is unbelievable. It is everything that the Hmong community has to offer. It is really one of the coolest events that happens in Minnesota each and every year. And then Somali Week starts this week. It starts on June 27th, so I'll be at the Somali Street Fair on Saturday afternoon, visiting with community. I think that's on Lake Street. I'm excited to be down there and participating in Somali Week as well. And lastly, I want to mention early voting starts tomorrow morning. And so as a young organizer, the first thing we teach our field organizers and our community organizers is how do you get people to set a vote plan? So I'm going to share with you today my vote plan. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up. I'm going to take Walnut outside right away. He's my dog. I'm going to make sure he does his business, bring him in, feed him, water him, take a shower, get dressed. I'm going to go down to the government center in downtown Minneapolis, and I'm going to make sure I get there early enough to vote. I'm going to vote probably about 9 a.m., I'm thinking. And then I'm going to participate in a press conference at 10 a.m. With Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, member of the Minnesota Nurses Association, and others who want to call attention to the fact that early voting starts tomorrow, Friday. We're very excited about early voting starting in the primary election. I want to ask you, what is your vote plan for the primary? Are you going to vote on election day in person? Are you going to vote by mail from your couch? Or are you going to go to early vote at an early vote site location between tomorrow and August 10th? There's 3 different ways Minnesotans can vote, as Secretary Simon always reminds us. I want to know what your vote plan is. So please drop it in the chat and share it with others. And then here's my challenge to you. Find a few people today and this weekend to ask, what is your vote plan as well? Since I will be voting tomorrow morning and participating in this press conference, Jim Hyington, our executive director, will be hosting the DFL Daily tomorrow. We will have a DFL Daily tomorrow, so please do tune in Friday morning at 10:45. Okay, all of those events can be found at dfl.org/events, and you can get all your information there for how to sign up, bring people out into community, and add to our coalition. Okay, so today our special guest is State Senator Scott Dibble. And he happens to be today at the DFL headquarters on Plato while I am working remotely. So Senator Dibble, come on camera, come off mute. Welcome to the call. He's actually in studio in my normal chair, which I just absolutely love. Thank you for joining the call today, Senator.
So happy to be here, Richard. Thanks.
Awesome. So Senator Dibble and I first met in 2003 when I was a young legislative assistant for the Senate Majority Leader that session. It was Tim Pawlenty's first session as governor. It was a hard session. I was also in the midst of my own coming out experience, and I got to see Senator Dibble each and every day doing the work of democracy, doing the work of representing his constituents at the state legislature. And honestly, Senator, seeing you in action every day made me feel like there would be a place for me in this world of politics. So thank you for that inspiration all those many years ago. And you and I also worked very closely together on the 2012 campaign, the Vote No campaign that made Minnesota the first state to defeat a constitutional amendment that would ban same-sex marriage. That was 14 years ago this November. And then, of course, 6 months later, you chief authored the bill that secured rights for same-sex couples to marry in the state. What does that victory mean to you today? And what do you want to remember about that point in our state's history? And why is that important?
Well, thanks, Richard. First, my vote plan. I think you're going to ask me. My vote
plan. Oh, gosh, your vote plan. Yes, Senator Dibble. What is your vote plan?
So my husband and I will go on the 11th of August down to our polling place, which is about 4 blocks to the east of us. It's right on the same street where we live. And we like to go vote in person because, and we like to wait a little bit later in the day to find out, which number of voters we are, to have a sense of turnout, and also to say hi to all the election judges down there who I happen to know because they're my neighbors and they're friends.
I love that. And that's one of the things we've been emphasizing, Senator. The people who run our elections, the reason they're so safe and secure is because they're our neighbors. They're good people who have been doing it sometimes for decades. I love your vote plan.
Great. But Vote early is a really good thing to do too. So I encourage people to do that. Very quickly, that campaign to defeat the anti-marriage amendment was an amazing moment in Minnesota history because it was comprised of literally, as you know, as the campaign manager and our fearless leader, comprised of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of individuals uh, just stepping in, leaning in, whatever verb we want to use, being the heroes of their own lives, and having essential conversations, hard conversations about values, about what it means to live with freedom and authenticity, and have that opportunity to love the person you love and form the family that you want. And those are hard conversations. I remember talking about needing to do that and then having to follow my own advice and go home for Thanksgiving and talk to my aunts and uncles and cousins who weren't necessarily geared towards voting no on that amendment. So it was just an incredible moment of courage, of leadership, of grassroots activism, of people uniting around a common set of values that were more important than those things that divide us. And it was the culmination of decades and decades and decades of effort on the part of people who never had got to have that moment. It also, beyond just our ability now to be married and have safe, stable, secure lives and live openly and be a part of our larger community, it sends such a strong and important signal to young people that who you are is beautiful and okay, and the way you love and just the fact of love is a good thing in your life and not something to be afraid of or ashamed of. So it was just an incredible moment in our nation's history and in our state's history. We're the first uh, state to defeat an anti-marriage amendment and then pivot and affirmatively pass the freedom and the right to marry.
Well, thank you for all of your work on that. It was a pleasure to work with you alongside you and to see your legislative ability in play was pretty remarkable because it was not a done deal. It was a very, very hard legislative path.
Yeah, I would say, Richard, and please, don't claim any false modesty. We all, I think, have played a big role when we defeated the anti-marriage amendment and also won across the board, took back the majorities in the House and the Senate, and of course already had the governorship. The word from on high from our leadership was we just beat Republican majorities because of their propensity to overreach and to be extreme, et cetera. And they were representing to us that to then pivot and actually affirmatively pass marriage would be the same mistake that the Republicans had just made. And we argued successfully that what would be more important was to meet the moment and to respond to the mandate that we had gotten from the people of Minnesota and to understand this election correctly, which was people want us to move forward on behalf of love and families, and to fail to respond would be the bigger error. But that was hard work to persuade our leadership, both on the merits of the idea, but also press them on the politics of it.
Absolutely. One of the things that we're tracking closely are some pending decisions out of the Supreme Court that could really impact our community. In addition to that, there's a New York Times article today about the erosion of support for marriage equality and what that means within the Republican Party and independents. Um, one of the things that I'm reminded of is we marked, not celebrated, we marked the 4-year anniversary of the Dobbs decision this week, which obviously rolled back rights that were in place for 50 years. We cannot give up. We have to be vigilant. We have to stay aware of the efforts. Why is Pride still such an important event when it comes to that vigilance, being aware of what people are doing to try to take away our rights, and how do we leverage that this weekend at Twin Cities Pride?
So much to say about why pride is important. First of all, um, we call it pride for a really good reason. We're raised to believe that we should be afraid, we should be embarrassed, we should be ashamed of who we are, and pride just obliterates that idea. We are proud, and we understand that who we are is a gift from God, and it's something to stand up and just be authentic and brave and have dignity. Pride is absolutely a celebration, a coming together, a way to build the bonds of community and friendship and love and connection, all of that infrastructure around social connection, super, super important. It's also a protest. Pride was born of the protests and the riots in the aftermath of the Stonewall Inn police violence that was committed against our community. And it's an opportunity to be together in a very big, boisterous, beautiful way with each other and with our allies and our families, and to invite in numerous supportive sectors and organizations to stand with us, and to just hang on to what has been so important about this movement, and that is hope. Hope in the face of all odds. We have been through everything. They have tried to erase us, to impugn us, to deny us, to demean us for time immemorial. And we're still here, and we're stronger than ever. So, we've been through it all, and we only get stronger. I've observed in my short time in as an activist, and I mean, I've been around for a while, but in the relative scheme of things, I'm still a very young person, and in the scheme of things, our time is very short. And I've seen time and again, when this community is under the greatest amount of pressure, it is at its finest. And that's what showing up for Pride means. It means we're still here. We celebrate, we laugh, we dance, and we're also pissed, and we're fighting hard, and we're going to imagine and create the future that we deserve.
I love that. One of the things that I think is important is for people to know that the Twin Cities Pride Festival and celebration is the second largest gathering of Minnesotans in Minnesota, next to the Minnesota State Fair. So we're going to have between 350 and 400,000 people at the Pride event. And what's important about that is 95, maybe more percent of the people attending are with us. These are our base people. These are the people who we need to talk to about voting in the primary and voting in the general election. There's a lot of really heavy work that we can do in just 2 days at the Twin Cities Pride Festival. And that's why it's so important, I think, for us to show up. And what you were just saying, our community has been under attack for a long time, but our state has experienced that this year from the federal government, this retribution campaign. And now is the time for us to come together. For me, what defines being a Minnesotan is our efforts to come together, protect one another in the face of this great adversity. And that's exactly what Pride is about. Senator Dibble, thank you for being here. What gives you hope?
Well, exactly what you just said. I mean, in the moment of some of our darkest times earlier this year, when we had an invasion and occupation from a paramilitary and authoritarian who was trying to demean and erase our constitutional guarantees of freedom, Minnesotans stood up and they showed up. They repudiated that attack, and they showed up for each other with love and compassion and energy. It reminds me of that amazing campaign in 2012, and then pivoting in 2013 to pass marriage for everyone. Minnesotans show up, and they fight back, and they stand up, and they envision, and they create a better future. I have a ton of hope.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Senator Dibble, for being here. So our call to action today is this. Please vote, put your vote plan in the chat. And then I want you to think about how you are going to figure out who else in your circle and your networks. Send a note to your signal groups. A lot of you folks joined signal groups during Metro Surge. I want you to encourage folks in that signal group to know that it's time to early vote for the primary. People can vote three ways: vote by mail from home, you can vote in person early at a polling location, or you can vote on election day at your local precinct. And then, of course, we have lots of different community events. Maybe I'll see you either at the Hmong Festival, the Somali Week Festival, or at the Pride Festival. I hope to see you out there. Bring somebody with you so that we can grow our coalition. Thanks so much for being here. We have 131 days until the November 3rd midterm election. We're building this coalition together, everyone. Let's go win this thing. See you later.